One of Hemingway's famous novels, For Whom the Bell Tolls, was mostly written in Sun Valley, more specifically in the Sun Valley Lodge. The author arrived in Idaho in 1939 with 12 chapters of his book to live in the recently built resort. He was amongst celebrities such as Marilyn Monroe and Sonia Keeney, who were invited here in hopes of attracting more tourists. According to the director of sales of the resort, Peter Sibich, Suite 206 is still the most requested suite in the Sun Valley Lodge. Today's visitors pay more than $450 to sleep in the same space Hemingway did, which is now a special decoration that includes the author's bust at a typewriter. Hemingway's image is still being used to pull in tourists to Sun Valley. Hemingway nicknamed the room 206 Glamour House for the lavish amenities and magnificent view that he had of Baldy. Although today the Sun Valley Lodge has been refurbished, the apricot cinnamon yellow cover of the beds that Hemingway saw remain today. The author arrived to Sun Valley straight after returning from Spain, where he went with Martha Gellhorn to cover, journalistically, the Spanish Civil War. In Spain, Hemingway, still married to Pauline Piper, developed feelings for Martha. Arriving in America, he divorced his wife. Most of the couple's money, and also the Key West property, belonged to Piper. Hemingway had, therefore, very little money upon arriving in Sun Valley in 1939.
Jean Van Gilder, second from the right, and Sun Valley Lodge's publicist at the time, asked Hemingway for free publicity in exchange for free boarding, and the author promptly accepted the offer. During Hemingway's stay at the Sun Valley Lodge in 1939, he would wake up at 5:30 every morning and work on his book For Whom the Bell Tolls, which was inspired by the Spanish Civil War, until lunch. By forcing himself to write, no matter what happened the night before, Hemingway was able to stay productive in writing For Whom the Bell Tolls. As he was in need of money and returned from Spain with only the 12 first chapters of the book written, he was eager to finish his work. After a morning of writing, Hemingway would have lunch at the Ram restaurant, and in the afternoon, Hemingway would go to either Shoshone or Silver Creek, accompanied by local hunting guides to hunt for ducks or pheasants. Hemingway, in his novel For Whom the Bell Tolls, develops a hero, Robert Jordan, the main character who was helping a band of guerrillas fight the loyalists in Spain when he was taking a moment to appreciate the solidarity of this clever group. Similar to the family of hunting guides he adored in Sun Valley, Hemingway writes about the feeling of like-minded people working towards a common cause in war. Hemingway writes, "You felt, in spite of all bureaucracy and inefficiency and party strife, something that was like the feeling you expected to have and did not have when you made your first communion. It was a feeling of consecration to a duty toward all of the oppressed of the world, which would be as difficult and embarrassing to speak about as religious experience, and yet it was authentic as the feeling you had when you heard Bach, or stood in the Chartres Cathedral, or the cathedral at Lyon, and saw the light coming through the great windows, or when you saw Mantegna and Greco and Bruegel in the Prado. It gave you a part in something that you could believe in wholly and completely, and in which you felt an absolute brotherhood with the others who were engaged in it." Similarly, Hemingway valued the solidarity and wisdom of the local people. In the same way, the author created a strong relationship between his character Robert Jordan and the guerrilla fighters in Spain. Hemingway preferred to spend time with the working class of hunting guides of the Sun Valley Resort. Hemingway stayed in Sun Valley for 3 months during the falls and winters of 1939 and 1940. In the beginning of 1940, he left for Key West. In the summer of 1940, Hemingway came back again with Martha Gellhorn. He stayed in the same suite and still followed the same schedule. He woke up early and wrote until lunch. This time, however, Hemingway was making some final changes for Whom the Bell Tolls. He would shut himself in Suite 206 until he made the edits that he was satisfied with. Once, Hemingway had a bad hunting accident in the afternoon with John Berger and his wife Anna Roosevelt and the Sun Valley Resort's black lab known as Bullet. John did not place the safety of his gun and accidentally shot Bullet in the leg. Hemingway got furious with John because of John's codeless conduct during the hunting. Hemingway went back separately to the lodge and then went up on his balcony to clean his guns. While doing this task, legend has it that he saw 2 ducks flying, one of them with a wounded leg. To end the suffering of the animal, Hemingway shot the duck. He made a good end to a regrettable day. In the next few years, Hemingway came back for the summers and had become a part-time resident, but he no longer got free room from the Sun Valley Lodge. After the summer of 1946, Hemingway left for Cuba and did not come back for the next decade until Castro came to power. Due to uncertainties in Castro's Cuba in 1958, Hemingway returned to the U.S. He chose to settle in Sun Valley partly because he felt that he was treated like a normal person and not a famous writer. He thus purchased a house that was a replica of the Sun Valley Lodge. Today, Hemingway's house is not open to tourists. However, for people who want to experience Hemingway's life, they can always visit Sun Valley Lodge and stay in Suite 206. You can imagine Hemingway working through the majority of For Whom the Bell Tolls here, and enjoying the impressive mountains and rivers and streams of central Idaho, a place in which he loved to write and a place full of people he loved to call the family.